everyone, still on vacation, but I wanted to talk about Into the Light. And Into the Light has been unbelievably successful in my mind. The player base numbers are way up. I've been enjoying it more than I have in a long time. And I think that's a sentiment shared by a lot of my community from what I've heard from all of you. So I want to talk about 5 things that I really hope Bungie takes away from the success of Into the Light. I feel like we've had successful little expansions or content drops before, and I feel like very key learnings from those have just been forgotten or disregarded before. And so I just want to put my thoughts into this little concise video and throw it into the void and see what happens. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. If you enjoy this type of content and are excited for the final shape, make sure to subscribe. Love your faces. Okay, number 5. Nostalgia bait is not everything. And I feel like this is kind of a reoccurring theme with a lot of stuff that we've been seeing with the final shape as well, where some of these nostalgic beats that are supposed to elicit, these memories and these emotions from the player base just seem to not really have been hitting quite as hard. And I think another really great example of this is the Whisper mission and the Outbreak Prime mission, the 0 hour. And I'm really glad they're back in the game, and I'm excited to be able to experience those going forward in Destiny. But I think it's very telling that, in my opinion, from all of the commentary and everything I've seen on social media and from talking with chat in the comment section and all of that, it definitely seems like these 2 missions are kind of the part of this expansion that a lot of the community is the least excited about. I don't think anyone's mad that they're back, but I think I've seen a lot more people excited to interact with Onslaught and the Brave weapons and the more new part of this update. Even though the Brave weapons are returning, they are in large part new perks. A lot of them were static. They are new weapons with old, familiar frames, right? Whereas 0 hour and Whisper are pretty much identical for the most part. Some of the secrets have changed, and some, at least with Whisper, we haven't seen 0 hour yet, but at least with Whisper, it's pretty much exactly the same. And I feel like these things are not hitting quite as hard. And I think it's just really important. I think we've hit this point in Destiny where nostalgia, would only get Bungie so far. And I feel like we've kind of hit that. I think a lot of the community is just ready for new stuff. Instead of revisiting the glory days of Whisper and 0 hour, I think everyone, or a lot of people at this point, would rather a new mission that, makes memories for us for the future now, sets a new bar, explores different unique things. And I think a lot of the community is really hungry for another Niobe Labs or Corridors of Time or Whisper, where it's just, a complete surprise and we're blown away and it is something completely different. So that's at least something I've been kind of taking away from Into the Light, and I'm interested to hear everyone's thoughts about that down below. Number 4, and this is a lesson that I feel like Bungie really learns every couple of years, but we love open communication. And I think the way that Into the Light has been approached, and Final Shape as well, with these series of live streams with, the devs who have worked and have poured their soul into this content, and then, following that up with these same devs answering questions and interacting with the community on Twitter, I think has been really awesome. And I've seen nothing but very positive responses from it, which is really awesome. It's awesome having a community team with community managers and stuff, and they do an amazing job. But it's different, watching Noah and Ash be really excited about the stuff they helped make, and they're explaining stuff, and it's really awesome. And that's just an example. The one everyone talks about is Dave Samuels. That sort of stuff. It's really cool being able to see more of the devs. And I think all 4 of the live streams were absolutely home runs, and the Vidoc was really good. And all the Twitter communication's been really cool, and the thoughts, there's been devs dropping the philosophy behind dropping the raid early, and the low drop rates of shinies and that sort of stuff. That's awesome, and I really hope we continue to see more of that. And I know that's just as much as the community ruining it for ourselves by harassing devs. So please don't do that. Please don't do that, because it makes you a really bad person. And ruins it for the entire community. So I really hope we continue to see more of that, because it has been awesome. 3, Onslaught is a mode that should absolutely be built upon. And I've said this before with Dares of Eternity, where Dares of Eternity was amazing and it very easily could have been made a core ritual playlist. Onslaught, I think, is even easier to make a core Onslaught or a core ritual playlist because it's using a lot of pre-existing assets. Like it uses existing Shaxx lines. It uses existing Crucible maps that have been modified, or I guess patrol zones too. And I think, look, I'm not a game dev, but I have to imagine it would be way easier to build on Onslaught than something like Dares, because Dares has like custom voice lines and custom aesthetics and all this stuff. I mean, Onslaught is using a lot of existing maps, aesthetics, things. You could put this hypothetically on most Crucible maps. You could put hypothetically any enemy type here. You could bring in limited time guns. You could switch out guns, you know, instead of the 12 brave weapons. You know, in 6 months, it would be awesome if we get 6 new weapons, and for a limited time, they can be shiny as well, but like a different shiny, like a purple one or something. And I just think it'd be really easy to build upon. And all of the feedback to Onslaught itself has been really, really good. People are loving it. I've seen people running all sorts of insanely cool builds and just having fun and running whatever they want on the early rounds. The hard rounds are really pushing people's teamwork and communication, and you know, people are speed running it and farming it. And I just think like the wave-based like horde mode is something that's tried and true across video games, and Onslaught is proof that it could very much work in Destiny, and there's a supreme hunger for it in Destiny. And I would love to see things like new defenses, new maps, new enemy types, a little bit streamlined stuff. But I really hope that Onslaught becomes a staple, or at least the foundation for something even cooler. Similarly to how like deep dives served as kind of the foundation for the Coil, and the Coil is kind of the perfected rogue-like experience in Destiny. I would love to see that in Onslaught as well. So that's just kind of my thoughts around that. 2, Into the Light has really shown me personally that the player base is hungry for hard content and hard titles and cosmetic chases. So this is specifically talking about the Legend Wave 50 emblem and the everything associated with Pantheon, the 4 amazing emblems for Pantheon, the God Slayer title. The player base has openly embraced this harder content. I've seen so many more people than I would have expected going for Legend level 50 on Onslaught. I've seen so many people excited about Pantheon, and it hasn't even come out yet. And I think more than anything, the player base is just so hungry for a reason to push themselves and do this type of activity. Because for the last couple of years, like the hardest activities in the game have been like master raids, and there's next to no incentive to do those except for, you know, once or a handful of times to do the challenges for like a title. But think back, what's like the last really difficult title to get? Shadow, you know, like Enlightened before they took away the flawless raid, that sort of thing. Godslayer is really pushing people, and every time I talk about it, people go absolutely insane. It seems like people are so excited for this sort of thing, and the emblems look amazing. And I hope that Pantheon is brought back, and I hope that this serves as kind of a lesson that, look, there's a huge, rabid audience here that I don't want to say has been neglected, but has been just absolutely fiending for more content. And I'm really excited to see if Bungie takes that and does something more with it in the future. I think that'd be awesome. Number 1 is sort of related to that as well, but it has to do less with like difficult content and more with grindy content. I think that Into the Light has truly shown the extent to which crafting has hurt the hardcore community. Now, I know if you're a dad and you work 50 hours a week, you're going to sit here and say, oh, you play the game for a living. I don't actually play the game for a living, but it's what I hear every time. Because I'm a content creator, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on how grindy a game should be. But contrary to that, I think crafting does have a place in the game. I just think it's too much right now. I don't think crafting should be anywhere near raids. Crafting is good for seasonal stuff and maybe like revamping raids. But I think that we have lost a very, very, very large part of the loot chase with crafting, and I would like to reclaim some of that. And I feel like Into the Light has really shown how popular of an opinion that is. The amount of people I have seen absolutely loving the grind for not only regular weapons, you know, Mountaintop with a great roll, Edge Transit with a great roll, but the shiny chase as well. people have been spending so much time in Onslaught, running the same loop over and over again, and absolutely loving the chase. It's not for everyone, and that's why there should be a balance of, in my opinion, you know, grindy weapons and crafting weapons, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but this sort of thing, I think, is something that has not been really present in the game for, especially like the harder parts of the game and the more enjoyable parts of the game, for a really long time. And I think that it has really been highlighted with Into the Light how successful this sort of farm can be if the loot incentive is there and if the gameplay loop is really fun. I would also love to see shinies personally expanded to many other parts of the game. I think instead of adepts from master raids, if you threw in a chance to get a shiny version of the normal weapons, people would farm that until their eyes bled. I think that would be absolutely amazing. And it's the same thing, like instead of adepts, like, okay, how about if you go flawless, you have a chance to get a shiny version of one of those weapons or something like that. Just something to think about. And I think it's the grind aspect of loot incentive has been missing in large part from the game for a really long time. And I have really been enjoying seeing it back. And I think the larger community has too, based off of feedback that I've seen. And once again, it's not for everyone. That's totally fine. But I do think it has a place in the game, just like I think crafting has a place in the game. But I think crafting has overstepped its welcome, and I would like to see that reeled back and more of this kind of loot chase incentive placed inside the looter shooter game. That's just kind of an observation I've been making, talking to everyone. So these are my 5 hopes for the things that Bungie takes away. Do you think there's any other lessons that Bungie should learn or could learn from Into the Light? I love that it's been so successful. I've been having a ton of fun, and I really hope that a lot of amazing content gets pulled out of this and built on in the future. So those are my opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your opinions down below. Please subscribe to help us on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and I'll see you guys very soon. See ya.